Here we are once again. This is our take. We're going to talk about some hot topics. One of our hot topics tonight, we're going to talk about Tyrod Taylor, the Buffalo Bills used to be starting quarterback, getting benched for a fifth-round pick who hasn't played in not a single NFL game up until this past Sunday. And let's talk about the whole benching situation. What are your thoughts on it? What is your take on the fact that the coach decided to bench the starting quarterback that had one bad game and implemented the backup quarterback into the following Sunday game, which is a very important game against the Chargers? And we'll talk about the outcome. But what's your take?
That was a totally unnecessary usage of implemented. I just wanted to let you know that. Well, go ahead.
What was your mic stand? No, good. You got it.
They had Tyrod holding the clipboard like you holding the mic.
Let's do it.
Come on. Let's go.
Go ahead, man.
Oh, me? I won't wait on my thoughts, man. I'll let you go first because
I'll tell you my thoughts.
Take.
The first thing I thought was, why is he getting benched? That was the first thing. Why is he getting benched? One bad game, two bad games. Was he not moving the ball? I didn't see anything crazy about his numbers. He didn't have off the chart numbers, but I wouldn't call his numbers pedestrian. You know, I would say that they had, he was average at best, but their defense wasn't playing well, right, for several games. And then they had LaShawn McCoy, if I got it right, he had turned the ball over in one of the other games. So it was a culmination. So I think it was a knee-jerk reaction to just say, okay, let's bench the quarterback and see if this rookie that we drafted can give us a spark. I don't see no reasoning behind it. I don't see no logic behind it. And as we saw on Sunday, in 9 attempts, he threw 4 picks.
Hold on.
4. In 9 attempts. He threw
4. But if you go back.
Here we go.
And I went and I looked at those picks.
The devil's advocate.
I'm only putting one of those picks on him. One.
Here we go.
Listen. Nah, you really do got to look at him though. He's. I'm not gonna say he's right, but if you're talking about it's directly his fault, receiver did something wrong one play, a couple of different things, but it's you gonna give your take or am I giving mine right?
Go ahead.
The coach did what's a larger problem in society at large. He blamed the black man. I mean, what else can you really say? Look, no, I'm being so serious right now. Like Avery said, the last 2 games, the game against the Jets, I think they gave up 300s. They gave up something crazy on the ground. The other game, they gave up like 400 something yards. The defense wasn't playing well. And he did what everybody else in this country does when things start going. Look, I'm not trying to bring this outside of sports, but we've had several white women now that killed their children and done something else. And what do they say? A black man did it, or a black man raped me, or something like that. Wow. So it's just a very easy thing to do. This is a 5th-round pick we're talking about. So this is not necessarily the future. This is not somebody you drafted in the 1st or 2nd round and you're saying, you know what, we need to get him some reps or whatever. If before that game, if the playoffs started, Bills were in the playoffs.
Yeah.
They were in the playoffs. Tyrod Taylor had 10 touchdowns and 3 picks. There's only 2 other quarterbacks in the league who have at least 10 touchdowns and 3 picks. Do you know who those 2 quarterbacks are? It was Tom Brady.
Tom Brady's one.
Drew Brees.
Well, let me just piggyback over something. Of course, when you talk about the Peterman's interception, if you go back and look at Tyrod's interception, 2 of those went to the same receiver that bounced the ball off of his hands and went into another player's hands, but still he's counted for 3 interceptions on this season. While at the same time, you can look at it that way, and he only has 1.
Yes.
Let me ask you a question.
That's a good point.
Is this the Bills coach first year? Do I got that right?
Yes.
Complete rookie knee-jerk reaction.
Well,
I think.
I'm not giving him a pass.
Honestly,
I'm just saying.
I think it was a foolish move.
But why would you?
I think that goes without saying.
Let me ask a question.
Why would you?
Back up on what Banks just said. I want you to think about it for a moment. Your team is playing above expectations this season.
Absolutely. Nobody had the Bills.
No one had the Bills being where they are, 2nd place in the AFC, basically East. How in the world do you take a chance at this point off of 1 bad game?
I don't know.
There's no logic.
I don't know unless you seen something in practice that made you think. Hold on. That made you think. You know what? Maybe we could get a spark from this kid. I've said this to y'all yesterday, and I'm gonna say it to our viewers. I think it was more than the coach. I think maybe it was the GM. Because I don't see. Listen, I don't see any coach in his right mind. Even if we're struggling, we're still we're one game above 500. We're in the playoff race, and you make this move.
And I'll explain why it's not the GM. And I can explain why a coach would do that. Because going back to what was said...
What the hell you asked me the question for then? For you to answer?
Like some technology right there, right?
That's the point. When you don't trust your quarterback, that's what you do. Because you do not bench your starting quarterback on a Tuesday when you know the NFL system is you do not practice on Monday. They didn't come back in practice Tuesday. Their first practice would have been Wednesday. If they was going to see anything, it would have been on Wednesday. They fired Tyrod Taylor on his day off. That's ridiculous. And what that
you get
causes
fired on your day off, man.
What that causes is this here. What I want to put out there is this here. A black quarterback's expectations is very different than the white quarterbacks in this league.
Absolutely.
And what it is this. The moment that a black quarterback is scrambling like crazy, throwing the ball for 300 yards, aren't doing certain things, these coaches want to run back to the pocket quarterback. They want to go back to the system. He's an offensive coordinator previously. He want to go back to the safe system, which doesn't work, which they know already, and that's why you make that move, and it's not the GM. He put his name attached to that. He owned it.
He did, and he also said he hasn't committed to a starting quarterback going on.
He's a fool.
Crazy.
That's completely ridiculous.
But I mean, look, you're not. I don't think you're enlightening anybody with that take. And I'm not saying that to disparage the point, but it's just like this is what happens to the league with black quarterbacks. You know what I mean? If you are not playing lights out, they're looking for your replacement.
So Ben, let me ask this question: why is it in 2017 we still have this slanted slope when it comes to black and white quarterbacks at this time?
I'll go back to my other point, man. You gotta look at society, man.
Yo,
I mean,
wait a second. I gotta jump in on this because this is where this whole idea started out when people said, excuse me, that I didn't like black quarterbacks.
Ooh.
Let me really break this down. But let me break this down because how this turned out as me making a point of proving a point, saying that black quarterbacks are looked at as being athletic. They're not looked at as being cerebral. They're not looked at as being students of the game. They're looked at as being weapons. If you really take it in the focus, Michael Vick really started that idea that black quarterbacks, they're running, they're weapons. Listen, follow me. Wait, okay. Let me finish. The trend, but you could because I know you're gonna go back to the Randall Cunninghams. You're gonna go back to the Warren Moons. I totally understand that.
It was Randall Cunningham.
Yeah.
I understand that.
Make your point.
But if once Michael Vick seemed to have set a trend to where offenses were going at that point in time. If you look Achilles Smith, you look at all of these guys that got drafted after the fact that they were trying to look at and make athletes. RG3 is another great example of a black athlete. And once he lost his athleticism and his knee went out, guess what? There's this stereotype that black quarterbacks can't pass from the pocket. We know that's not true, obviously, because Jameis Winston killed that. He killed that stereotype.
So why do you not like black quarterbacks?
That was my point. Is that I made that a point. And I made that in a circle of around a lot of brothers. Who thought that I was being stereotypical to blacks, but I was actually trying to prove a point.
Let me say
one thing. It became this running joke, is what I'm trying to tell you.
Still, you actually.
All right.
Bank said, one day recently we was having a conversation, and he said something that made a lot of sense to me. And what he said was, that's the only position they have left.
Absolutely.
Wow.
This is the truth, though.
Wow. That's the only thing they have left.
That's actually not true.
If you know, but I'm talking about. No, listen.
Kickers or punters.
No, I'm talking about. Come on, cut it. I'm talking about superstars. As far as a superstar in the superstar, that's the only real thing they have left. And if you think about it, they're losing it.
Yeah,
wow.
It's going.
So
because even the ones that are considered that are white quarterbacks, if you had to say, if you watch Aaron Rodgers play and you weren't able to see what he looked like, you would think he was a black quarterback the way he plays. And he's still
I'm not going to
labeled,
necessarily
he's
co-sign.
still not labeled.
I understand what you're trying to say.
The scrambling, the athleticism, and all that. That's what I'm talking about. And he's still not labeled as you would label a black quarterback. If he was black, he would be, he's an athlete.
That's what I was trying to say.
The point that's very interesting to me is that what they don't like is, I know a lot of people here are not fans of Cam Newton, but for the most part, this year and the Super Bowl year, he's been a winner. And I don't know what his overall record is.
He has a winning record overall.
It just, you know what it is? It looks different from what they're used to. His completion percentage is not that high.
Right.
But they don't want to do the things where you're accounting for the yards that he does, where he scrambles and he does.
His rushing yards
It's the point of the game is winning the game. It doesn't matter if I got a quarterback that's completing 70% of his passes or anything. If you completing 58% of your passes and you're accounting for 70 yards rushing and you get the job done, which is winning the game, what are we talking about right
Hold on, Banks. My same argument falls with Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson is constantly knocked for not being the high accuracy quarterback.
Who knocks Russell Wilson?
Maybe not people here, but he's not.
Russell Wilson doesn't get to do that. He just comes to winning.
Mark, we had this conversation and I proved that wrong, Mark. We had this conversation.
He doesn't. Does he get the credit?
Yes, he does, Mark.
Because everything you hear is running back and defense. It's
No.
upon the running back and defense. I'm not just saying you, Lee. Hold on. Don't be in a vacuum.
No, I'm not being in a vacuum.
What you hear when it comes to that name, he doesn't get credit for winning.
That's what I'm saying. I don't hear that.
Listen, Russell clearly has won some games. I myself, I don't think he's elite as a quarterback. I think he's a good quarterback. I just don't think he's elite.
That's fine.
And there's nothing wrong,
But let me say it.
Is he a winner? I think he's a winner.
But let me say it. You put a white quarterback with the same stats, the same numbers, and he's highly celebrated with what he's.
But I think Russell is
can I get an
highly celebrated.
Just real quick.
Example.
Hold on, wait.
Uh-oh.
Sounds like we got to go.
Oh,
part two.
here we go.
Another segment.
Are we gonna do it
come right back?
All right.
Yeah, let's do it, man.
Let's do it. All right, here we are. We're going right back into it. This is segment number 2 on this. So, Banks, finish off what you was going to say.
He doesn't remember.
Okay.
Just let me know, and I can carry it from there.
When I bring up the name Russell Wilson, a lot of times the first thing people run to is the fact that he had an elite running back and an elite defense.
He did at the beginning.
Yes.
He's definitely carrying the team
And
now.
right now, you're seeing him carrying it without.
Yeah.
But still in all, you don't see the celebration of Russell Wilson and his accomplishment. It always falls back to the same thing. Not only him, when you bring up Cam, when you look at the actual league as a whole, Cam Newton was questioned about being a number 1 pick behind Blaine Gabbert. You look at D Watson. The Chicago Bears moved up in the draft to take a kid that played 11 college games, never won a big game at all, never played in a big game at all.
Because back to the point that I made originally, which was that's the only position that they have left.
Got you.
Mitchell Trubisky looks more like what they're used to, a big, country-strong white guy with a cannon for an arm, and they feel like they can do more things with that. The game, I will say this, the game is, it's always going to be, to me, passing from the pocket, but there's varying ways that you can do that. And the fact that you're able to extend plays, maybe keep your eyes downfield, and when a play breaks down and there's nothing else going on, that you can take off and create positive yards in a play. I think that's dope.
But now let me flip it this way. Name me the black Brian Hoyers.
There are none.
Name me the black Blaine Gabbert.
There was a great article.
Guys that get chances,
Right.
that have failed and failed.
There was a great.
failed.
There was a great article.
Geno Smith. That's what I was gonna say.
He failed one spot, but there's a great article about the Ryan Fitzpatrick and who was that? The Jets quarterback.
They got the
Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Mark Sanchez?
No, man. The guy that's playing right now. He's been on like 9 teams.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
McCown.
Right? You will never see that with 2 black quarterbacks that have. McCown has been on 9 different teams.
Well,
he had a picture. Yeah, they had Jersey Day at his daughter's school,
right.
And his daughter and all her friends each had a different jersey from one of the NFL teams that he's been in. And when you're white,
And
you're
still
always
starting
going
in the NFL.
to get another chance. and it just
still
doesn't happen.
starting, and
It doesn't happen.
again,
There are very few that you can name. I think Rodney Pete stayed around for quite a bit, but there's only right. But that's what I'm saying.
But this is what I'm trying to say, y'all. There are still subtle and subconscious stereotypes that will and always
That's what I wanna
exist
talk about.
with
Absolutely.
black quarterbacks. If you think about it, let's even think about the Wonderlic test. What was the first thing they said about Vince Young when he didn't do well on this Wonderlic test?
Yeah.
What the hell is the Wonderlic test? And he proved everybody wrong with that Wonderlic test.
You know
right?
who scored the highest on the Wonderlic test?
Who scored the highest?
Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Okay, there you go. He's a
That
Harvard
just goes
guy
to show
too.
you that
He's a Harvard
playing
guy. So that's
quarterback
just-
does not really.
They
it's not about
think
the
it's
test.
associated with
Right.
intelligence.
With intelligence.
Now, that's who's to say that Vince Young is not intelligent. Like this whole idea, we talked about Deshaun Watson.
want
The
to bring this
biggest thing I had with Deshaun Watson was, what more does the brother gotta prove? He's played in
Absolutely.
every big game. He's beat the best college team in the world.
The best conference.
In the world.
He beat the number 32 NFL team to win a college championship.
Real talk.
That's real talk.
And we can argue that not the 32nd team. You can argue
It
that.
could be 28 or 20.
You can argue that. He beat one of the best defenses in the world in college, if not the best
and
defense.
didn't get to do for it when it came
Listen,
to the draft.
listen.
Go ahead.
I'm happy he didn't get to do. I didn't want to see him on that bad Bears team. I'm glad he landed
Well, a
where
bad
he landed.
Cleveland team.
Exactly.
I think you're talking about a different point, though. I
No,
get
no,
what
no,
you're
I
saying.
know.
I get what you're saying.
I am.
That's what a fan stand.
There should have been a fight. There should have really been a fight at the top of the draft for whoever needed a quarterback
But
to get Deshaun Watson.
Let me ask the question again. Why in 2017 are we still dealing with this stereotype?
Because it never went away, Mark. Like we go over this all the time.
Yeah, but-
The answer's always gonna be the same.
Bringing up the same point.
You know the
It's
answer
gonna
to
be
that
the same.
already,
It ain't
right?
going nowhere.
Why black people still getting killed by cops, man?
Listen. Run,
Hold on.
catch,
Hold on.
block,
Let's go.
tackle. But yo, when it's come to throwing this ball, just fall back. We don't need y'all over here.
Yeah.
Let's go back to something. So now you still have black head coaches in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
You have a few black GMs. How is it still? So is this coming down from the owner?
Absolutely. They're not.
direct?
Listen, they're not in the power line when it comes to things like that. Look, we got a guy out there, Robert Griffin III. Where he's had his issues, he's created a lot of his own drama with his injuries and not wanting to run certain offenses and things like that. But this is the number 2 pick in the draft. You mean to tell me there's not a coach in this league that says, because we've seen bad quarterback play throughout this league all year, that doesn't look at this kid and say, you know what, I can fix him, or I can use him. We can run the read option until I get him. I can get in the study room with him and help him figure out how to become a pocket passer and do certain
Well,
things.
let me ask y'all this.
I think Robert Griffin's third biggest problem is he's not Russell Wilson. And when I say that, I mean Russell Wilson, 6 yards, I see a dude coming, I'm not trying to get 7.
Right.
I agree with you.
Well, RG3 says I can get 8,
Right.
and he's
And try to
small,
run
and he get. You're not big as Cam Newton, bro.
Right.
That was his problem.
Right, but don't you think don't you think there's a coach that can, that's something you can learn.
I got a better question. Don't you think after the first hit when he got hurt, he said maybe I shouldn't have done that?
But wait,
I agree with you, but the point I'm trying to make is that
Nick's making a real good point because
that-
you're getting into the crux of why it did. But let me ask you this question: Why didn't RG3 keep getting chances when these other guys are getting chances that are pocket quarterbacks
Well-
fail? They keep getting chances.
Well, I can't
Why
answer.
is that
Well,
guy-
I knew from draft night I didn't think they wanted RG3 because no way in hell you take RG3 too and then you take Kirk Cousins immediately after.
Right.
So you are
Not immediately, but
yeah, you know what I mean. But you are the quarterback that everybody says that we should get, but you're not the quarterback that I want.
Right.
So I'm probably gonna put you in a position to fail as quickly as I could.
Shanahan had a great interview about that though. Anyway, man.
But there's
I don't
something
know if you
that
had a chance to check
I
out.
want to bring up that I've seen time after time. When you talk about Vince Young, Robert Griffith, when you talk about like certain quarterbacks that are black, once you get the label of they're not heavy on studying, they don't stay afterwards.
I'm gonna touch on that.
They're lazy. Once these things are pinned on them, it sticks. It never leaves.
Now it comes to
wait
the new quarterbacks to change that.
But here's the thing.
Oh,
Go ahead. Well, here's the thing. It sticks, but the difference is when it comes to a black quarterback, it sticks across the board with all black quarterbacks. Because what you were alluding to with Shanahan, one of the things that Shanahan said to Steve Young, and Steve Young reiterated, he said the kid didn't study. He was not focused on the books. So now that stereotype you bring, just like with any black kid that wears his hat to the back or wears a hoodie that gets in trouble, you see the next person that does that, it is a subconscious stereotype drawn along the lines of color. That's fact.
I do want to.
But they're not saying that about Deshaun Watson. You feel what I'm saying? Even though he got a bad break in the beginning too, because we all know he should have been starting from Jump Street. But I think it could change. I think it's gonna change because these quarterbacks are, and they shouldn't have to, but I feel like they're adapting. They're doing the things to make people to not get that stereotype. Go ahead, Mark, because you're dying to say something.
Because here's the problem. It's the coach's job to get that quarterback
Ready.
in the room
Absolutely.
and get him started.
No,
That's
you
all-
no. You can't make somebody study, Mark.
Listen. Let me.
Mark,
say it
you
again.
can't make somebody study.
Let me say it again. As a head coach and a quarterback coach, your job is if you pick the guy high in the draft and he's not quote unquote doing what he's supposed to do, that fall on coaching.
Right.
That's what that.
But here's the difference. Let me just say this. Let me jump in, Lee. Here's the difference, though. RG3 from the outset was said to be a brand about RG3. You remember
Yeah.
his
Yeah,
offensive,
of course.
his offensive line wouldn't even block for him. Like we talk about.
the two examples that we're using are not the best.
Yeah,
we're trying because Vince
right.
Young had his own issues,
Right.
renting out a whole plane, doing
Right.
the little things that are like
Yeah,
a little bit off the
right.
board.
Right.
But football wise, okay, and let's go back to football. When you yank a dude out constantly when he messes up, and just remember, Kerry Collins lost 6 straight games. He was allowed to lose 6 games. The moment Vince Young got in, started winning, the moment he lose, he gets yanked. It's not a fair system.
It is, but the point that we're trying to make is this: is that not as that it's a fair system,
okay.
more that it's. They never believed in these guys from the jump. They didn't believe in Robert Griffin from the jump. We're talking about Vince Young.
That I'm gonna go.
The horrible coach that we found out now, Jeff Fisher, did not believe in Vince Young. So when these guys have belief in these people, even if you lost a game and I believe in you,
I'm gonna leave you out there.
I'm
But
gonna leave you out there.
that goes back to my point of before I said that. Unfortunately, this is why I say head coaching is very important. Yo, if you look at Cam's first season, they tailored that
Absolutely.
game to that Auburn offense, which helped Cam develop.
Of course.
And the fact of the matter is these guys, especially the older coaches that I'm saying it, they say, yo, I want you, but you're
To
gonna
be
play
this
to my
way.
system.
To be
That's
this
really
way.
what it is.
Well, let me know something.
This coach is stuck in their
it.
ways. We know
I
that.
got a follow-up point on that.
But just remember, when Cam had the towel over his head, and they was killing him for that, and also they called Cam lazy.
Oh, we gonna talk about Baker Mayfield, but
No.
we gonna talk about
They
that.
called him lazy.
Yeah.
Also, the moment he started winning, all that went away.
Well, I mean, I guess that goes
again,
to.
But he had a coach that stuck behind him.
Of course, yo,
That's Rivera
we
stuck
get
with
it.
him from
What's his
day
last name?
one. Rivera.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Say no more.
Got you. Got you.
Say no.
Because you know why he stuck behind them? Because that was his guy. That's the guy he wanted.
Was that his coach in his first year? He's been there the whole time.
That's the guy he wanted. So
he stood behind him.
if you got the guy that you want, you gonna do everything to make sure that person succeeds.
I want to say something. I want to say something about.
But real quick, you can't make a player study. That's something they have to want to do. Go ahead, Vance. I'm
Thanks.
sorry.
Make your point. Go ahead.
real quick, it's see now I forgot my point again.
Yeah. So back to
Memory loss, man.
That's all I can tell y'all. But listen, once again, this was 2 dynamite segments.
now I remember.
Really, really good. We're going to
Definitely.
delve further into another college quarterback that we're going to talk about is Baker Mayfield. That's coming up next, y'all. This is our take. What's yours?
Baker.
Peace.
Peace.
The point I was